Tommy walks into the cartel deal thinking this is his big step forward. On the surface, everything looks clean. The money flows fast, the rules seem simple, and the cartel leaders speak with respect. But in cartel business, respect is often the first lie. These people never give real control to someone they cannot break. From the very start, Tommy is not a partner. He is a tool. The cartel does not test loyalty with words. They test it by putting someone in a position where failure is guaranteed. That is exactly what this deal feels like. Too smooth, too fast, too easy. In the LANDMAN world, cartels survive by letting others dream. They let outsiders believe they are special, smarter, or different from the ones who failed before. But the pattern never changes. Anyone outside the bloodline is always watched, measured, and slowly pushed into mistakes. Tommy thinks he's building something strong, but the cartel is studying how he moves, who he trusts, and how far he can be pushed before he cracks. This is not business growth. This is a long test. The biggest red flag is how much freedom Tommy is given. Cartels do not hand freedom to someone new unless they already control the ending. They allow him to expand, make noise, and take risks because all of it creates pressure. Pressure attracts enemies. Pressure attracts law attention. And when things go wrong, the cartel steps back clean while Tommy stands in the fire alone. That is how they protect themselves. Another important detail is timing. The deal comes when Tommy needs it the most. That is never random. Cartels wait until someone is desperate enough to say yes without asking the right questions. Tommy's need makes him blind to the trap. He believes he is finally playing at the highest level. But in truth, he is being moved into position, like a piece on a board that does not know the game is already decided. This is why the cartel deal never made sense as a long-term plan. It was never designed to last. It was designed to end loudly, with blame pointing in one direction. Tommy is not meant to win here. He is meant to absorb damage, distract enemies, and take the fall when the walls start closing in. And that realization is the first crack in everything he thinks he controls. CTT looks strong from the outside, but strength built too fast is often hollow. The company rises quickly, gains attention, and starts moving large amounts of money in a short time. In the LANDMAN world, that kind of growth is dangerous. Real power grows slowly and quietly. CTT does the opposite. It expands fast, makes noise, and pulls eyes from every direction. That alone tells us something is wrong. No smart operation would allow this level of exposure unless failure was already part of the plan. The biggest problem with CTT is that it depends on too many unstable pillars. The cartel connection, the legal front, the rushed logistics, and the people running key positions are all tied together too tightly. If one part shakes, everything shakes. There is no backup system, no real protection. That is not how lasting empires are built. It feels more like a structure designed to collapse all at once, creating one clean disaster instead of many small ones. Another issue is trust. CTT is filled with people who are loyal to opportunity, not to Tommy. They follow money, not vision. That kind of loyalty disappears the moment pressure hits. When law enforcement starts asking questions or rivals start pushing back, these people will not stand firm. They will talk, run, or switch sides. The cartel knows this. They always know who can be trusted and who cannot. Letting Tommy build CTT with weak allies only makes the fall easier. The legal side of CTT is also a major flaw. Paper trails grow fast when business grows fast. Licenses, shipments, contracts, and payments all leave marks. A slower operation can hide mistakes. A fast one creates patterns that are easy to track. It feels like CTT is being encouraged to grow just enough to attract serious attention. When that attention arrives, the evidence will already be neatly stacked against Tommy. There is also a clear imbalance of risk. Tommy carries most of it. If CTT succeeds, the cartel profits quietly. If CTT fails, Tommy's name is everywhere. That imbalance is not accidental. It is design. The cartel stays clean while Tommy becomes the face of everything that goes wrong. That makes him useful even in failure. CTT was never built to survive pressure. It was built to collect it. Every deal, every expansion, every shortcut adds weight. When the structure finally breaks, it will not look like bad luck. It will look like proof. Proof that someone ambitious reached too far and paid the price. And when that moment comes, the cartel will not lose sleep. Because from the beginning, CTT was never meant to stand. It was meant to fall at the right time, in the right way, with the right person buried underneath. The cartel deal is not just about money or territory. It is about control without fingerprints. Everything in the agreement pushes Tommy to take actions that slowly tighten the noose around him. He is encouraged to move faster, think bigger, and trust systems that were never built to protect him. On paper, the deal looks balanced. In reality, every rule favors one side. The cartel sets the pace, the supply, and the limits, while Tommy carries the blame for anything that slips out of line. One of the smartest parts of this trap is how normal it feels at first. There are no threats, no sudden violence, no loud warnings. That calm creates comfort. Comfort creates carelessness. Tommy begins to believe this is a business relationship, not a survival test. While he focuses on growth, the cartel focuses on distance. They separate themselves from daily operations so that when trouble hits, their names are nowhere near the fire. The deal also forces Tommy into choices that look smart in the moment but are dangerous later. To keep the flow moving, he has to cut corners. To meet demands, he has to trust people he barely knows. To protect profits, he has to take risks that leave trails behind. None of these decisions are forced at gunpoint. That is what makes the trap clean. Every mistake looks like Tommy's choice, not cartel pressure. Another layer of the trap is how it attracts attention. Big money, fast growth, and cartel whispers do not stay hidden. Rivals notice. Law enforcement notices. The deal places Tommy in the spotlight while the cartel stays in the shadows. If police start watching, Tommy is the one they see moving, talking, and signing papers. The cartel becomes a rumor. Rumors are hard to arrest. People are not. There is also a quiet suggestion that the cartel may be working both sides. Information leaks, shipments that almost get caught, and rivals who seem one step ahead all point to inside knowledge. That kind of knowledge usually comes from the top. If the cartel feeds just enough information to create chaos, they weaken enemies and clean up problems without ever stepping into the fight themselves. Tommy becomes the shield that takes every hit. The final part of the trap is the exit plan. There is none for Tommy. Every path forward leads deeper into exposure. He cannot walk away without losing everything, and he cannot stay without risking prison or death. That is the perfect trap. No escape, only delay. The cartel does not need to destroy him quickly. They only need to wait until pressure does the work for them. And when the collapse finally happens, it will look natural, almost expected. That is the most dangerous kind of setup. Tommy believes he is shaping his own future. But Season 3 slowly reveals that his role is much smaller than he thinks. He is not the architect of the game. He is the distraction that keeps attention away from the real power. Every move he makes pulls focus toward him, and that focus protects the people who truly run things. While enemies watch Tommy, others move freely behind the curtain. His position is perfect for sacrifice. Tommy has enough influence to matter, enough ambition to take risks, and enough visibility to become a headline. That combination is dangerous for him, but useful for everyone else. When pressure builds, someone needs to be blamed. Someone needs to fall so the system can reset. Tommy fits that role better than anyone. He is close enough to the cartel to look guilty, but distant enough for them to deny him. Season 3 hints that Tommy is being pushed into conflicts that cannot be won cleanly. Rivals appear at the worst times. Deals break without warning. Allies hesitate when support is needed most. None of this is random. It feels like the board is being tilted just enough to force mistakes. The more Tommy fights to keep control, the deeper he sinks into situations designed to break him. There is also a strong sense that Tommy's instincts are being used against him. His confidence, his hunger to prove himself, and his refusal to back down all work in the cartel's favor. They know he will push forward instead of stepping away. They know he will try to fix problems rather than escape them. That makes him predictable. And predictability is weakness in this world. At the same time, Season 3 shows moments where Tommy starts to feel the walls closing in. Small doubts appear. He notices patterns that do not add up. People he trusted act strange. Information reaches him too late or not at all. These moments suggest he may realize the truth, but realization does not always bring freedom. Sometimes it only brings panic. The most tragic part of Tommy's role is that even if he figures everything out, his options are limited. Exposing the cartel would destroy him first. Running would confirm guilt. Fighting back could trigger the very ending the trap was built for. His role was never about winning. It was about lasting long enough to absorb damage for others. Season 3 does not ask whether Tommy is smart or strong. It asks whether he can. Everything building around Tommy points toward a controlled explosion. Season 3 is not setting up a simple rise or fall. It is setting up a moment where many storylines crash at once. The cartel deal, CTT's pressure, rival movements, and law attention all feel timed to collide. When that happens, the damage will not spread evenly. It will hit one name harder than the rest, and that name will be Tommy. The show has been careful to place warning signs in quiet scenes. Small conversations hint that certain people already expect failure. Some characters speak about risk as if it is temporary, like they already know how this ends. That kind of dialogue usually means someone is preparing to step away before things turn ugly. Tommy, meanwhile, keeps moving forward, unaware that others are slowly creating distance. Season 3 also seems ready to challenge the idea of loyalty. When pressure reaches its peak, we will see who disappears first. People tied to CTT may flip sides, cut deals, or save themselves. The cartel will deny deeper involvement. Rivals will pretend they were never afraid. In the middle of all this, Tommy will stand exposed, holding a structure that no longer supports him. There is a strong chance that the collapse will not be loud at first. It may begin with a small rest, a blocked shipment, or a sudden legal freeze. From there, everything unravels fast. Once momentum shifts, the system turns against him. Banks pull back. Allies stop answering calls. The same network that once lifted him up becomes a wall closing in. But Season 3 may not end with total defeat. The most interesting possibility is that Tommy learns just enough, just in time, to change the shape of the fall. He may not escape clean, but he could redirect blame, expose hidden players, or create chaos that hurts the people who used him. Even damaged, he could still be dangerous. What matters most is that Season 3 frames this story as a lesson about power. Real power does not stand in the light. It builds shields, sacrifices, and exits. Tommy was meant to be one of those shields. Whether he accepts that role or breaks, it will decide how this chapter of LANDMAN is remembered. One thing is clear. The deal was never about success. It was about control. And Season 3 is where that control is finally tested. As Season 3 moves toward its final stretch, the story begins to hint at something even darker than Tommy's downfall. The real endgame is not just removing him from the board. It is rewriting the entire narrative of what happened. When the dust settles, the world will not see a smart man who was trapped. It will see a reckless one who flew too close to the sun. That is how systems survive. They change the story, not the truth. The cartel's greatest strength is patience. They do not rush to close the trap because time works in their favor. Every day Tommy stays in the game, more evidence piles up under his name. More decisions are recorded. More enemies are created. When the final move comes, it will not look like betrayal. It will look like consequence. That is the cleanest ending they could ask for. At the same time, larger forces begin aligning in the background. Financial partners, political connections, and shadow investors all sense a shift coming. They start preparing their exits long before the public sees danger. This quiet movement is important. It shows that Tommy's fall is not just useful to the cartel, but to anyone who benefits from stability after chaos. Once he is gone, a cleaner system can replace him, free from noise and suspicion. Season 3 also suggests that CTT's collapse may be used as a warning. Others watching from the sidelines will learn the lesson. Build too fast. Trust the wrong people. Make deals without leverage. And this is what happens. Tommy's story becomes a tool, a cautionary tale told behind closed doors. That gives his failure value beyond his own life. It strengthens the system that destroyed him. Yet there is still tension in how the endgame might unfold. A trapped man with nothing left to lose is unpredictable. If Tommy realizes the full truth, he may choose to burn everything instead of saving himself. He could release information, expose financial trails, or trigger conflicts that no one planned for. Even a losing player can flip the table. The final episodes of Season 3 are likely to live in that uncertainty. Will the system succeed in quietly erasing Tommy? Or will his collapse tear open cracks that cannot be sealed? The show does not need to give him a clean win to make his story powerful. Sometimes the most dangerous act is refusing to disappear quietly. In the end, the real question of LANDMAN Season 3 is not who survives. It is whether the audience finally sees how power truly works in this world. Not through strength or loyalty, but through design, patience, and sacrifice. Tommy was never meant to be the king. He was the move that makes the checkmate possible. By the time Season 3 reaches its final moments, Tommy's story stops being about survival and starts becoming about legacy. Not the kind of legacy built on success, but the kind built on impact. Even if he falls, the damage he causes may echo far beyond his own ending. This is the part of the story that no one inside the show fully controls. And that is what makes it dangerous. Tommy's rise forced many hidden players into the open. His ambition disrupted quiet systems that had stayed untouched for years. Deals were rushed. Lines were crossed. Mistakes were made by people who were used to operating without pressure. Even if those people managed to erase Tommy from the picture, they cannot erase the chaos he introduced. That chaos becomes his unintended legacy. Season 3 hints that younger players are watching closely. They see how the game really works now. They see that loyalty is temporary and power is rented, not owned. Tommy's failure becomes education. Future players will move differently because of what happened to him. They will trust less, hide more, and strike faster. That changes the landscape permanently. There is also the personal cost. People close to Tommy will carry his story in different ways. Some will deny knowing him. Some will quietly blame him. Others may feel guilt for not seeing the trap sooner. These emotional consequences matter because they shape future decisions. Trauma in this world does not disappear. It hardens people and sharpens instincts. What makes this legacy powerful is that it was never intentional. Tommy did not set out to change the system. He tried to climb it. But in doing so, he exposed how fragile and cruel it really is. Sometimes the most honest truth comes from failure, not victory. Season 3 leans into that idea heavily. The show also leaves space for ambiguity. Tommy's name may be ruined publicly, but privately, some will know the truth. Quiet conversations will acknowledge that he was used. That split between public story and private understanding reflects how real power operates. Truth exists, but only in controlled spaces. In the end, Tommy's legacy is not about whether he wins or loses. It is about what he reveals. He becomes proof that the game is rigged, that success often hides a countdown, and that the most dangerous traps are the ones that look like opportunity. LANDMAN Season 3 closes his chapter not with closure, but with consequence. And that kind of ending lingers long after the screen goes dark. After everything collapses. The most powerful moment is not chaos. It is silence. Season 3 points toward an ending where the noise fades, headlines move on, and the system resets as if nothing truly changed. That silence is intentional. It is how power hides its scars. Tommy's fall becomes old news, replaced by the next distraction, while the real beneficiaries quietly reclaim control. The world around Tommy adapts quickly. Businesses rebrand. Faces change. Operations restart under new names. What once looked destroyed slowly returns in a cleaner, quieter form. This shows that the structure was never broken, only trimmed. Tommy was a removable part, not a foundation. His absence creates space, and that space is filled almost immediately. What makes this silence unsettling is how few people question it. There are no public investigations that reach the top, no deep accountability, just enough truth to satisfy curiosity and enough confusion to bury the rest. This reflects a central theme of LANDMAN. Justice is selective, and clarity is dangerous. Too much understanding threatens stability. For those who knew Tommy personally, the silence is heavier. Calls stop coming. Names are avoided. His story becomes uncomfortable, so it is ignored. This social erasure is another kind of punishment. In this world, being forgotten can hurt more than being hated. Season 3 uses this quiet aftermath to show the emotional cost of playing the game. Yet silence is never complete. Small echoes remain. A line of dialogue, a look between characters, a sudden pause when his name almost comes up. These moments suggest that while the system moved on, memory did not fully disappear. Something unresolved still hangs in the air. The silence also serves as a warning. It tells the audience that this outcome is not rare. It is normal. Others have fallen the same way, and others will follow. The system depends on this cycle. Rise, exposure, removal, reset. Tommy's story fits perfectly into that pattern. Season 3 does not end with loud justice or dramatic revenge. It ends with quiet understanding. The realization that the game continues unchanged, and that those who challenge it openly rarely survive intact. That silence is the final confirmation that CTT was built to fail, and that the trap worked exactly as planned.